What we're going to be talking about today is an upcoming marriage retreat that Jeanette and Brad McBee are going to be hosting. And I am very, very excited about this. And one of the things that they are doing, I would be excited about it just if they were doing this in general. But one of the things that really excites me is they're going to be using as the curriculum this book that my wife and I put together, and it's Transform Your Marriage Vision Retreat. And, you know, as somebody who has helped people with putting together a vision for their life, it's not been, we have always recommended that people do their visions separate and then come together and then sort of, come up with a vision together. But we never really gave people the tools to do that. And throughout the years and helping and coaching, some of my students have really taken this to a different level, and they have come up with, a marriage vision, and they've gotten deep into that. And I have helped many people that I coach throughout the years with not just having their vision for their life and their business, but also having that vision for their family, for their marriage, and all else that comes along with that. And as we have had those discussions, I just started, taking more and more notes. And I talked to my wife one day and said, I think that there's a need for this. And it's beyond just, hey, my personal vision, what are my hobbies and what am I doing? But when it comes to our marriage and our family, how are we going to parent? How are we going to, allot our time or spend our time together? Or, who's going to be the primary breadwinner in our home? And how are we going to handle our finances? And, and to have those kinds of discussions, many couples never talk about those things. And there is a conflict, there is a friction in their relationship that goes on and on and on for years. And it's just brushed underneath, the rug, and they don't ever bring it out and talk about it. And so we decided we wanted to just get this stuff out on the table, help a couple to get onto the same page and be playing from the same playbook rather than from two different playbooks where they're on the same team, but if you're not playing from the same playbook, you're not going to win too often. And so the whole idea behind this was to bring this together and to help people win. Now, back in March, just prior to us having the workbook published, we did do one of these retreats, and it also took place, right up in the same area where Jeanette and Brad are going to be having theirs. We're in the same part of the country. We were out in Galena, Illinois at that time, and we had 9 couples who came on out for that retreat. And I knew every one of those couples. I coached all of those couples with the exception of a couple of them, but I knew them pretty well. I've spent a good bit of time with them. And I will just tell you that the feedback from that weekend when we got together was really awesome. The couples who were there said, we talked about things that we've never spoken about in our marriage. And, and this was anything from people who are married for 4 or 5 years to people who had been married for 25 years. And I think one of the couples was probably married for 30 years. And there were still things that they said we were never on the same page until we got here. And it was something that every single one of them said this weekend was awesome. I mean, we got to talk about things that have been a conflict or troublesome within our marriage. And we've now figured out how to, work together as a couple to not have that issue or that challenge anymore. And they've all felt like that they grew tremendously. And I will tell you this, over the course of the weekend, the one thing that I encourage everybody with is just like when we do a Lifener event, there's, 11 or 12 different vision elements. There might be, 11, 12, 13 different things that you could, work from that are in the workbook. But if the only thing you work on the entire weekend is the one area of greatest conflict in your marriage, and you can get that area fixed or improved, you will see tremendous results all around in your marriage as far as the growth and everything that you will have. So anyway, I just wanted to just put all of that out there. It was a fun time just getting together and being with other people. It was a great environment and atmosphere where people could get together and just talk about their marriages and share freely. Hey, here's one of the areas that we struggle. Not only did they get to work on their vision, but they got to get tips and talking to other couples about how they have been successful in those areas. And it was just a great time for the couples to be together. It was a great time of just them being alone, away from their family, working on themselves, investing in themselves, investing in their family, and building friendships and things like that with other people. So I'm excited that Jeanette and Brad McBee want to sort of take this torch and run with this. This is something that they have a passion for. They love ministering to couples and just pouring into others. And to me, this is something that is sorely needed all around. And, but even in the Life and Air community where people appear to have it together, we still need, even if it's just for maintenance and tune-ups, it doesn't mean you have to have a problem in your marriage, but to invest into your marriage, to always improve it and to always make it better. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that, and to continually do it. My wife and I, our desire is to actually go to one type of marriage retreat a year. And we want to get away at least once a year just to invest into ourselves, not because we have problems, but because we want to keep on growing and getting better. And so, Brad and Jeanette, thank you for being here on this call. Thank you for your heart and your willingness to be able to go on out there and really invest into others and to seeing marriages improve. Can the two of you just, maybe tell us a little bit about yourselves and where this heart comes from for investing in marriages?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having us. We're just really excited right now. I think you could tell by my post on Life and Air, wanting to start an hour and a half beforehand. At any rate, so Brad and I have been married for 17 years. He keeps track of that.
I have to remind her, guys.
And however, we have been in coaching and helping couples for the majority of that time.
Yes.
And a lot through Life and Air has really helped us honed in on that spiritual gift.
Lots of experience through our local church.
Mm-hmm.
We've led small groups there in different ministries for most of those years as well.
Mm-hmm. And, just like every couple, we can say we've had our ups and downs. From my perspective, those downs have been very, very difficult. And I'm so grateful for this book, this wonderful book and guide, because I know within our own marriage, we both have experienced where there's these pockets of miscommunication. There's these areas that, like, if we just could get a hold of this, but I don't have time right now. I can't do that right now. That's not, I have other things to do, or we're like ships passing in the night.
Or you got kids to feed or places to go.
Right. And it's just easier. Hear the word. It's just easier to just let it go. Everything will be fine if we just let it go. Let's just keep doing this. We're,
mm-hmm.
I love you.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like what we talk about in Life and Air, that someday might never come. Someday we'll get to that, but all too often we put off someday for many years if we ever get to it at all.
That's exactly right. So I love the idea of having a specific time where the distractions are much less because you're not at home, and you'll have us there. We're not there to tell you what to do. We're more there to facilitate and to provide kind of a backdrop. We'll ask questions if there's some major miscommunication that's happening. We're happy to guide couples through that. We've done that for crisis marriages and things like that. So it's not out of our wheelhouse at all. But if you're just there because you need maintenance, we'll give you space. We don't, we'll give as much as y'all need.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's going to be a really cool time, and this place is neat. You like everybody to have their own space to kind of retreat to where we'll have room or time when we come together as a group, and we'll discuss and go through the workbook and talk about some lessons, and we'll need to be very transparent and vulnerable and open with each other. And that's where, really good growth can happen. I mean, you think about, we were just at our titanium retreat, and we were, tears were shed about our own marriage during our share. It's like, no, nobody's ever arrived,
Right.
and sometimes things come up, and we're also, as a couple, one of the things that we like, my soapbox is like forgiveness, the issue of forgiveness, and talk about sweeping things under the rug, and you can only go so long sweeping things under before it festers, and anger grows to bitterness and resentment, and then it's we want to be able to address things, and if we can help some couples peel back that rug and get rid of this stuff during this retreat, so that you don't end up down the road in months or years or whatever, however long it is, and your marriage explodes, and she files or he files, and it just comes out of the blue. It's like, boom, I'm done, like I'm out, because we've seen that happen where people just stuff it or ignore, and then one day it's just boom, they snap, and it's like, I'm done, I'm out. And what a great opportunity to be able to come down in a safe place where you can be vulnerable with other people. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, right? But if it's anything that's worthwhile is worth the effort, right? So put the effort into what should be arguably the most important relationship you have on earth, and dig in and clean the closet if you need to, right? Let's do some housekeeping, sweep the rug, and grow our marriages together.
So one of the things that I have, and we address it significantly within the workbook, and it'll be one of the things that people will really get to focus on and go over when they're at the retreat, is it's really communication and misunderstanding. So often, I use the term quite often as we go through this, that you're on the same team.
Right.
The person who is sitting beside you is not your enemy. They're not against you. Yet so often we can find ourselves in that spot where we feel like our spouse is against us. And more often than not, it is purely just a misunderstanding. And we as men see things a certain way, and then women see it another way. And when you have those things crossed and you don't take the time to understand why your wife sees something some way, and she needs to just see it the way you see it. And we had a couple, and this stemmed from one of my retreats, and that's where the workbook came. Right after the retreat, I said, I got to do this, and this is just wonderful couple. I mean, I love them dearly. They have grown so much. I absolutely adore working with them. I love the way that they are with their family. I love their kids are all adults today, but their kids are just awesome kids and awesome adults. And that as parents, they did a great job. And they were having a conflict when they were at one of our retreats. And we sat there and we just got to listen. And as we were listening, the husband was graciously trying to sit back and not butt in, not say what he wanted to say, or not give his side. And as he was sitting there and he was just listening, and I heard her, and I just looked at him and I said, you know what? He's like, what? I said, she's right. And he was like, what? And then I sat there and I told him why she was right. And then I looked at her and I said, you know what? She had this big smile on her face. And I said, and he's right too. And then she was like, what? And then he all of a sudden got this big smile. And I said to him, I said,
Impossible.
Both right. And I said, you're just not seeing it from the other's perspective.
Yeah.
Said, neither one of you is wrong. Both of you are right. And when they sat there and they took the time to understand that, all of a sudden it was just like this light was just shined on, and they were like, oh, I can't believe we've been fighting over that. And sometimes it just really takes the step back, put yourself into the shoes of the other person, and to understand what it is that they're seeing, that they do see things differently. And just to put things into perspective, and then I'll tell a quick little story. We had, this was a situation with how they were dealing with one of the children. And dad is looking at the child as an employee who's working for them. And mom is looking at the child as, that's my child you're messing with. And so from each perspective, they were approaching it differently. But so just a story, just as an illustration that I like to share is this. If there is a car accident in the middle of an intersection, and there's a person on each corner of that intersection who witnesses the accident, they're going to come and potentially question all of those witnesses to ask them what happened. And just to make one thing very simple, if this is a car that is painted black on one side and white on the other, and there's just a dividing, right down the middle, it's black on one side and white on the other, there's going to be a person on the other side of the street who says, the white car ran the stop sign and ran into the thing. And the person on the other side of the street will say, oh, that person's lying. It was a black car that went through the stop sign. The reality is they're both telling the truth. They're both telling what it is that they saw. And when we understand that people see things from different angles and different perspectives, and a female sees things one way when a male sees it another, and we start to understand that, we realize, no, we're both on the same team. We're just seeing things differently. Neither one of us is necessarily right or wrong. We just see it differently. And when we can get over that, things can get a whole lot better. And so it's things like that will be the kinds of things that will be talked about at this retreat, where how are we going to parent? When we're brought up in two different homes, we learn how to parent two different ways, but there may be a way that we want to come together and parent that is different than what we, both of us experienced growing up. And maybe we take the best of those experiences, but we got to get on the same page so we do it the same way. We don't have conflict in our own home. So, Brad, was there something else that you wanted to share?
Oh, there was a question about the book. So it's called
That's backwards.
Transform Your Marriage Vision Retreat. And it's on Amazon. You can Google it or go on Amazon, right? It's Steve Cook is the author. So at the retreat, we'll provide you a copy of this workbook. But if you can't make it to the retreat, you can always go on Amazon and I encourage everyone to get a copy of it for yourself. And if you can't go to this retreat, then you can follow the workbook. It'll take you through a self-guided journey where if you and your spouse can just set aside 2 or 3 days, you can do that as well. But I think we really like the small group setting, though. There's something very special when other couples come together and you're there face to face. It's just a different dynamic that happens.
There's a sense of camaraderie. You realize you're not alone.
Absolutely.
Especially if there's tension in a marriage, doesn't matter where or the subject that it falls around. It's just nice to know, like, oh, we're not alone. And
you're in a mix of different personality types, so you'll end up going, hey, she's just like you, or he's just like whatever. And so there's a lot of relatability that can happen there, and then the stories that and little excerpts that people will share from their marriages and their struggles, and it's just like, I'm not alone. Like, okay, we're normal. Like, what is normal, right?
Yeah.
So there's just some good, I don't know. It's good to know that you're not alone, right? There's all these things are common.
This retreat is going to be coming up around Valentine's Day. It's not going to be on Valentine's Day, but
Right
it'll be
before.
tied to that. Can you tell us when is the retreat and where it's going to be?
Sure. It is February 11th through the 13th. It is in the Des Moines, Iowa area. It's at Somerset Airbnb, which is just south of Des Moines, about 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes from the airport.
Yep.
So we did that on purpose. This place is actually a 10-bedroom Airbnb, but we'd only like to have 6 couples there. We like that small group setting, and also to provide a lot of space for you all. It is cozy, and it is just has a very homey feel. It's out in the country.
Winery.
Yeah, it's actually a winery. So at any rate, it's very homey feel. We want that. I really want to put some of the things you may be talking about may be uncomfortable. So I would like a lot of your physical needs to be met while you're here. I want you to have a comfortable night's sleep. I want you to be well fed. And there's plenty of places to go on date nights. One of the nights you will have a date night out with your spouse. And I can't tell you how excited I am. Just from a personal aspect, Brad and I just love marriages so much, and we want to support marriages. We have been supported in our marriage through Life in Air and through, our different friends and everything. And we honestly just want to pass it on. So that's just where we're coming from. And just to be able to share this with other people is just really exciting.
Well, tell me a couple of things that if somebody decides to pull the trigger here and go to the retreat, what are a couple of things that they will benefit from this? What will they walk away with after having been at this retreat?
Well, I think they'll come away with a sense of peace after being able to talk about in a safe place with their spouse what their goals are, and also being able to be unified. I mean, our goal is for each couple to come away with a vision for their marriage. And even like you said before, if it's just on one topic, that's excellent. It will impact your daily life. It will provide also a foundation for if there's another topic you want to talk about outside of the retreat, then you have this personal experience to pull from to say, this is how we communicated before. Let's do it again.
Yeah. And I think equipped with some tools, a suite of tools that you can use when you go back home too, in your day-to-day life, to be able to address some of these things and hopefully able to discuss things more in the moment and not, sweep things under the rug and let things fester, but be able to deal with things as they come up, and so that, these don't turn into these big, huge, seemingly insurmountable kind of problems, but so that you're able to see that steady growth and progress in your marriage.
So I will just throw out there that what you brought up with the vision, this is something that will allow all of you to just get on the same page. When we did our first retreat, it was interesting because the 2 top things for almost every couple, with the exception of one, but 8 of the couples, their top 2 things that they wanted to get on the same page with was conflict resolution and parenting. And they felt like they were not on the same page when it came to parenting, because it was something that, first of all, it's ever changing as the kids grow and their needs change and their desires change and how you parent them changes. And as you have more kids, it changes. And, there's many things that change. And, and this is one of the things we recommend. You even come back annually to revisit that, because you need to say, okay, where are we in parenting right now? Things have changed. The kids are, we're no longer trying to find them play dates. We're trying to keep them from speeding in their car. What do we do? I want them to, get to bed at a reasonable time, and I can't really tell them to go to bed anymore. They're like bigger than I am. But
I got one of those.
so anyway, there's those kinds of things. But the conflict resolution was a big one. Also, most of the couples, and I think because of life and air, were pretty set when it came to like roles in the home or roles in the family and things like that. They had already worked through a lot of those things. There's opportunities to talk about the topic of sex. A lot of times that's taboo, but that was what one of the couples, that was the number one thing for one of the couples who was at the retreat. And
great barometer for your marriage.
Yeah.
And so we just give that opportunity to be able to talk about everything. And so you're two players on the same team, able to get on the same page, playing from the same playbook, and have a winning marriage when the two of you come together. And when you can just begin to work on one or two things in your marriage, you'll see everything start to improve. And I just want to highly encourage it. So for those who are interested in coming, how should they get in touch with you? And we'll send out some information as well, and we'll follow up with it. But what should they get in touch with you? What else do they need to know about the retreat?
Okay. So they need to email or call you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll provide, we can email back some more detailed information and how to do payment and all that stuff. But we look forward to having everybody there. So just reach out to Jeanette. We'll provide the contact information. I'm
on the Life and Air app. You probably have seen it.
and then we'll go from there.
Now, the cost of the retreat, I think I had seen you put it out in the last one. It was the first time I've seen the cost. It's $799, but that includes the room and board. That includes meals. That includes the retreat.
It includes a lot. It's accommodations, some meals. The only meal we're not providing is the one where you go out to eat with your spouse. Workbook, anything,
snacks, drinks, all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So limited to 6 couples, $799 per couple, all inclusive except your date night.
Yes.
That's right.
and it's a great time.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness.
It's an investment into your marriage. And like I said, it's something that my wife and we do regularly. We intend to do it at least once a year because we feel like it is something that just continues to keep on improving our marriage. It strengthens our marriage. And there was a time, and every marriage goes through rocky times, but we had a rough time and we needed it. And when we did go to a retreat, it was a different thing to be able to just go and almost just to have people who would come alongside of us and minister to us and help us to see our blind spots. And oftentimes, most of the time when we go, we're the ones who are ministering to other people or helping them meet their needs, or we notice the couple who is struggling and we try to come alongside of them. So regardless of where you are in your marriage, there's a place, for you in this. And I just want to encourage you. Don't think that you need to be, at a certain place. This is something that is good for whether you're newly married, whether you've been married for 30, 40 years or more. There's a place for you here.
Absolutely. Yep.
Any last things that you'd like to share?
Go ahead.
This is something that I agree with you, Steve. It will meet you wherever you're at. And I do truly believe that when people come away from this, they will be just absolutely blessed by the opportunity to be able to communicate on a better level, and also to come away knowing that there's hope. If you're struggling with that, there's always hope wherever you're at for whatever area of your marriage. That's what I would leave with.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate the two of you and your willingness to do this event. I know that marriages are going to be, benefit tremendously from it. And I really look forward to hearing the stories. So
Awesome.
Us too.
anyone who is interested, would you mind just telling what your email address and everything is right now for those who are listening?
Sure. My email address is cjmcbee79@gmail.com.
And your phone number?
And my phone number is 970-420-3177. Thank you.
Say your phone number again, please.
970-420-3177. That's it. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. And I thank everybody who did participate here with us. If you are considering it, don't hesitate, sign up for it. And if you know anybody else who needs to be here, I want to just ask you to just recommend it. Again, this is only for 6 couples, so the likelihood of this thing selling out is going to be very great, and there will be others. This is what Brad would like to do. This is something they're passionate about doing, but we don't know when the next one's going to be, and it's sort of the kind of thing. Don't brush it under the rug any longer. Just go do it. Do it now, and begin to start taking those steps toward improving your marriage today, and don't wait until someday. So thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.